You know,
It's your turn, Kelly G.
you know, this is one of my favorite things to do. The stuff we're talking about now, a lot of times when we're out on expeditions, Squint and Margie and Clem and me, we sit around the campfire and talk about all kind of horrible things. It's fun when you're nice and safe and warm and dry.
I know, but when you're sitting here
and full and drunk.
when you're sitting there on some uninhabited island where you haven't even explored the interior and you're telling all these different ghost stories, it's not really all that amusing.
It can add a new tingle to your spine. I'm sure it could. But
You know a lot about
it's
spines.
a well-known fact that many people love to get a scary book and curl up by the fire, have a nice little snack while they watch a movie or read a book about someone struggling and going through all kinds of agonies.
I think I told you about that one.
Yeah.
That one called the Wax Museum, or the Terror of the Wax Museum, where that guy had that hook and he had all these things. He could unscrew the hook and he could put all these other things in there, he had a cleaver and he had a corkscrew and all these other things. And they had this thing called the horror horn in there. And whenever that was supposed to play, you're supposed to turn your head or something.
Ooh, well, it's my turn, and there are so many frightening things, but I think my biggest fear is fire. You know, I used to read a lot in the paper about people getting trapped in a movie theater, and it was on fire, and they all got into a panic, and everyone was running, and you could be trampled, or you could be suffocated from the smoke, and fires really, just curl me up badly. Well, number one...
They curl up a lot of things.
Yeah. Yeah, you could curl up literally. Yeah. That's what I mean. But see, besides the ordinary danger of being burned to death, if you survive, you could have lots of terrible scars. Your recovery would be much harder.
It's very painful.
And the pain would be... That's the thing, I guess, that really gets me is the horrendous pain. And, you never really get back like you were. Even a small burn, like my sister Ruth Ann, she burned her arm real bad. It left a scar about the size of a quarter. And, it never did heal, just like burns. Fortunately, this was a small area. But just imagine, in fact, I knew a girl that had her whole right leg was scarred all the way up. She had fallen in a fire. I don't remember the details, but I also think about those terrible things on the top of the huge buildings, and then you're faced with a thing of whether you have to jump or...
Oh, that sure sounds scary.
Ooh.
Jumping off a building, there's nothing that can save you after that.
That's terrible. I would never jump, though. I would try to climb down some way. Then if I fell, the choice would be out of my hands.
Yeah, and the building would be out of your hand.
Yeah, well, if you could find a flagpole or something to hang on
That's
to...
the trouble, though, with these modern buildings. They don't have any ledges. They're just all straight and glass.
But I guess that would probably be one of the most painful things. Like if you had to choose between drowning or falling or something, I don't know, is what Squint said about, being gobbled up alive by a creature. That's pretty horrible, too.
Well, that's his fear, so we have to have one
But
of your own.
I guess the thing about the burning would be, and, I've always worried about the house catching fire, especially when the children were smaller. I really gave them big lectures about not playing with matches and all of those things. I think I scared them so bad about the matches, that they wouldn't even hardly light one even now. Of course, they would, when they had to, but I used to really spank Jody for playing with my cigarette lighters. He used to love to do that, and I would get into him so bad.
Now Squint's children like to do that.
Yeah, me kids are fascinated by matches and lighters, but I did the same thing. And whack him good. Well, there used to be a lot of articles in the paper about people going out and then their house would burn down. I remember in school all these things that they said could cause fires. Number one, it was those oily rags, kerosene and oily
Yeah, if
rags.
those chemicals get too close together, they could burst into a flame.
Spontaneous combustion.
spontaneous ignition.
Yeah, that, and there was this one that really stuck in my mind about this one fire was caused by the sun's rays came down and reflected on the fishbowl, which caught the drape on fire.
Oh, concentrated sunlight?
Yeah, that is bad. You might have to go first. Yeah.
Well, I had never thought about that before, but, there's so many things to worry you. You could go insane in this world really easy. That's true. That's very true.
Well, look at all the diseases people can catch, too. That's scary, too.
There must be about 1 million different kinds of disorders.
Yeah, I worry about that, too. Well, I think I agree very much with your point that there is very little any more terrifying than fire. I have always tried to be extremely careful about preventing fires in my home. But like you said, that goldfish ball catching the rays of the sun, you can't think of everything sometimes. It is always a relief to go home and see that my house is still standing.
I know that it didn't. What about in
What
Florida?
about fires in the middle of the night or something?
What about that mess in Florida where that big hole opened up out of the ground and that house fell into it? I don't think I'd think about things like that. You can't think of everything. But could you imagine coming back from the grocery store and you find this big crater where your house used to be and it's sitting in there?
Oh, I'm learning new things to be afraid of. Well, now, you mustn't panic, Emma. The reason that this is good to air your fears and bring them out into the open is that sometimes you can reduce them by doing that.